Okay, number 18. Which line appears to have an x-intercept of -5 and a y-intercept of 3? So your x-intercept, this is where it's going to cross the x-axis. So it should cross here at -5. So I'm going to mark that on all my answer choices. Okay, and as you can see, 3 of them do not cross the x at -5. Only one does. If we wanted to, we can check our y-intercept. It should cross the y at 3, and it does. Systems. Which system is best represented by this graph? So we would need to get these into slope-intercept form first. So we want to get them into y equals mx plus b. So on this first one, to get the y by itself, I would have to subtract my 3. So now I have negative y equals 2 minus 3x. So I'm going to write that over here to have a little bit more room to work. Negative y equals 2 minus 3x. Okay, then to get the y by itself, remember there's really a 1 here. So this is really negative 1y, which means we'll have to divide by negative 1. So on the left, those divide out, and we're just left with our y equals 2 divided by negative 1 will give us a negative 2. Negative 3 divided by negative 1 gives us a positive 3. So I know that this negative 2 is my b value, and this 3 is my m value. So I'm going to check to see if that's a line on this graph. So b, negative 2, I begin at negative 2. So there's beginning at negative 2. M is my slope, tells me how to move. I'm going to move up 3 into the right 1. So up 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. Okay, so that works. That is this line. That is that K1 line. So now I need to get this y by itself to see if it is this other line. So again, I'm going to move my x first. So minus 4x on both sides. So I have 9y equals, I can't subtract a 4x from a 36, so I leave that 36 minus 4x. Then my next step to get the y by itself, I'm going to divide everything by 9. So on the left, those divide out to a 1, so we just have a y. 36 divided by 9 is a 4. Negative 4 divided by 9 would be a negative 4 over 9 x. No. Sorry, that was another teacher that came in. So again, I'm going to check my slope and y-intercept to see if it matches my other line. So that would be my b and that would be my m. So my y-intercept should be at 4. So I begin at b, which is a 4, and I did. Then negative 4 over 9, that tells me how I move. So down 4 into the right 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we really lucked out. We only had to solve those two equations for y. A would be the correct answer. 20, what appears to be the domain. So domain is x. We talked about this earlier. Domain is x. Range is y. So this x value is at negative 1. This x value is at a 3. So we're going from a negative 1 to a 3. Looking at answer choice B, it says y. It's out. Looking at answer choice D, it says y, so it's out. So negative 1 and 3, that's an answer A, and answer C, they're completely different numbers. Okay, so A is the answer there. Just knowing that domain is an X, you're probably going to be able to eliminate half your answer choices. Okay, and then just find the start and the stop of the X's and match up your answer choice. What a value makes this equation true? I feel like we've done one like this already, so we just need to get rid of parentheses by doing distribution. 4 times 0.5n, if you need to use your calculator, you can go ahead and do that. We would get a 2n minus 4 times 3, which is 12, equals, nothing's happening to that n, but now we have these parentheses over here, so we need to distribute this negative 0.25. So negative 0.25 times 12 would give us a negative 3, and then negative 0.25 times negative 8, so a negative and another negative make a positive. And 0.25 of 8 would be 2n. Now I want to combine like terms. On this right side, I see I have 2 terms with an n, so I'm going to bring down 2n minus 12 equals, and then n plus 2n gives me 3n minus 3. Now I see I have n's on both sides of my equation, so I want to get them on the same side. So I'm going to subtract my 2n. I always like to move my smaller number because it's going to keep my variable positive as long as possible. So those eliminate, and we have negative 12 on the left side. 3 minus 2 would give me a 1n, or just n. Then my final step to get n by itself would be to move that minus 3 by doing the opposite, so add 3. So negative 12 plus 3, since these signs are opposite, we really subtract these numbers, so we get a 9. Then we keep the sign of whatever number is bigger. Since 12 is bigger and it's negative, this 9 is going to be negative. So n is equal to negative 9. 22, which table does not show a function? So a function means x does not repeat. Well, that is super ugly. X does not repeat. So in these answer choices, we're looking for x's that do repeat, since we want to know which one's not a function. So A looks good, B looks good. C, we have a negative 0.2 and a negative 0.2. So C is not a function. (23) Write the equation of a line parallel and passes through this point. So parallel, we learned parallel lines have the same slope. So the slope of our line should be the same as it is in this equation. Slope is attached to the x, so 6. This one says negative 6, and this one says negative 6. Next, we're going to use the point that they give us to find our b value. So y equals mx plus b. We know y is a 1. We know m is a 6 because we got that from the equation. We know x is a negative 7. And we're trying to find b, so plus b. So 1 equals 6 times negative 7 would be a negative 42. Then to move the 42 to the other side of our equal sign, we're going to do the opposite, so we're going to add it. So 1 plus 42 gives us 43. So we know our b is a positive 43, which would be answer choice C. Which graph can be used to find the solution to the system of these equations? So again, if I'm comparing equations to graphs, I need them to be in slope-intercept form. So to get the y by itself, I would have to subtract my 2x from both sides. After I do that, I'm now in slope-intercept form. So I can find my m and my b. Here's my b. Here's my m. But remember, I would put that over 1. So I'm going to begin at negative 4. Beginning at negative 4 right there. This one doesn't begin at negative 4. There's a negative 4 beginning. And this one looks like it